Well, here's an interesting idea. Special facilities at our prisons exclusively for veterans. And what's considered the first of its kind, a new cell has been announced at the Muscogee County Jail in Georgia, which is close to Fort Benning. Now, this dorm can house 16 veterans and offers a variety of community services, like a PTSD treatment program, a special veterans court, as well as housing for veterans transitioning back to regular life after prison. It's hard to get any solid statistics out there for how large the problem of veteran incarceration really is after coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. But as The Guardian reported, a 2004 study calculated that there were about 140,000 veterans in U.S. federal and state prisons. But that was 8 years ago. And that also doesn't include those held at county jails. So could this new type of facility become a trend? Joining me to discuss it is the man behind the facility, Darr, the sheriff of Muscogee County. John, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And why don't you start by just telling us how it is that you came to the conclusion that this is something you had to have?
Well, I think just like a lot of jails that are near military bases or just anybody that runs county jails, that this is going to be a growing demographic in any county jail. You know, you're going to see an increasing number of people as they retire or become off active duty coming into the community, and unfortunately, a lot of these people will unfortunately end up in county jails throughout the United States.
Now, as I mentioned at the top, of the introduction here, it's really hard to find any specific statistics as to just how many veterans do find themselves in prison once they come home. Do you have any, better up-to-date numbers or at least local figures?
We run a jail that has a little over 1,100 inmates. What we think is, in our population, there's probably about 10 to 15% of those are veterans. And like I said, as these people come off active duty, we would expect that number, unfortunately, probably to grow here in Muscogee County.
So tell me some more about the services that they're provided. As I mentioned, PTSD treatment. What is this Veterans Court program?
Well, how we came about this is we look at it as three components: the law enforcement component, which is of course the Muscogee County Sheriff's Department, the judicial component of it, which is the courts, and we have a Superior Court judge that is who's a veteran himself, and he's the one that runs the Veterans Court. And then we have the community involvement part of it, which is made up of like the mental health providers in the local community, and also the mental health provider within the county jail, which is New Horizons. You have groups, private groups that want to come in, counseling, mental health counseling for them, and also you have those that want to come in and as they transition back into the community, like the plumber home and stuff like that. And that's really kind of how we look at this project, is all these groups coming together.
Well, they sound, like really important programs, and I'm just curious as to what you think, because on one hand, I think that it's great that we provide veterans with more of these rehabilitative services, but then why isn't also the general population get some of the treatment too? Do you think that that's a problem, is that we don't focus more on rehabilitation when it just comes to the general population that's in our prisons out there?
Well, I agree with you. That's what we see. We kind of look at this as not only rehabilitation but crime prevention. Anybody that goes through, that's part of this veterans dorm. As soon as they transition back into our community, if we have assisted them in any way of getting any kind of help while they're in the county jail, and then when they transition back, not to commit the same crimes or come back into the county jail, which is, if you talk to a lot of sheriffs, that's the biggest concern, recidivism rate. Of course, people coming back into jail. That's why this is a very important, we believe, or we feel it's a real important program that we think, or hopefully we feel like it's going to eliminate that recidivism rate that's coming back in. Also, I want everybody to realize that one of the concepts behind this also was that a lot of these people that's in this veterans dorm that we have are dealing with the most, very similar problems, and that's two issues. They have drug and alcohol issues and mental health issues. And our concept behind this also is we get them into this dorm, they can kind of form their own little support groups among each other. Since they're dealing with the same issues, and we're able to kind of very specifically target those in this
what they're
mental
dealing
health.
with. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. John, I'm sorry for the brevity, but you know, we're having some audio issues. It's a little hard to hear you, and so hopefully we're going to catch back up with you because this is, you know, a great story. Get more information on that. See if you guys start a trend and we see other prisons doing the same thing. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yes, ma'am.